welcome back to Meet the Experts. Now, today we have a really, really cool guest. I think she's cool. I got to see her in person last year at Health Conference, and we've been friends for a long time, connected on LinkedIn, but I actually was able to see her in person. And she is none other than Kaye Mendoza. Now, if you know Kaye, she is a fire for nurses and especially our migrant nurses. She is a voice, a powerful voice in the Filipino community, and she's a travel nurse hacker. So I have a lot of questions for her. I'm going to invite her in. Kaye, can you hear me?
Hi, Casey. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, or anybody watching this outside United States. Good morning too.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy I was able to have you on because I love the way you think. I love the way you think. You are what I call an empowered nurse. You get information, but then you process it yourself. And then you see what works for you and then you go after it. I just love it. I love it. So I have a few questions just to pick your brain. I think you're an expert in many different things, and I just wanted the audience to get to know you a little bit. So you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Oh, absolutely, Casey.
Hey, okay. So my first question for you is, if you could share one piece of advice with your younger self, what would it be and why?
Oh, if I would say that, I would say invest in Bitcoin.
Oh my gosh, you're talking about like 10 years ago or 10
Yeah,
years, 15 years ago?
probably 20 years ago, but otherwise, if that wasn't existing as an option, that I would definitely say is I would always say is invest, of course, on yourself and your moral grounds and moral foundation, and then academically, whatever is your weakness, always don't run away from it, and always face it with a good mindset of you're gonna learn it. So the learning mindset should be curated at the younger self.
Younger self. Now, you mentioned to me you did something very amazing with your kids. Um, it's not something very common the way people think, but I love your approach to learning. So you were telling me about your one of your children loved you were teaching them about wine and you took them to different culture, different country to experience it. When you think about learning, do you just what are your thoughts on learning, on true learning?
I think true learning comes when you are very uncomfortable issues or topics that are not really discussed where it is, and then you open up your mind and open up your eyes to those things, and you're able to still process what you have in the place, regardless if it's uncomfortable, but having a clear mind and thought process. Even if it's uncomfortable, you will discuss it, because majority of the problem in the world right now is really those things that are uncomfortable to discuss with, but sometimes we turn our back, and it's easier to avoid things, and then we never get things fixed. But again, when you're uncomfortable, that's where your growth comes in.
It's true. It's true. And you know what? I really appreciate you. You have been a travel nurse and you have so many hacks. I mean, you have so many hacks, not even from traveling within the country, but just even emigrating from a different country coming here. You know, a few things that most nurses don't. If I could pick your brain, could you share three of the most profound things that you have found that most nurses still haven't kind of got a handle of?
Number one is, I would say, confidence really in talking. A lot of our nurses, I would say, we're more into memorizing things, processing healthcare, but really communications are really a bit off. And sometimes also it's so you don't want to ask, because some cultures, when you ask, they perceive it as disrespect. And I want that to realize that no, communication is actually a way of proper communication is a way of dealing with life, and both sides will lead to less disputes and arguments if only we could talk to each other properly. Number one is communication. Number two, I would say learning finance, because a lot of our healthcares are actually not very well versed when it comes to finance, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's just that we are not into that. We run away from math, thinking it's not gonna catch up to us, but actually it does. And it's something that a lot of our healthcare providers should really learn, is finance and how to advocate for yourself. And the third one will be, a lot of our healthcare providers, we are really inclined people, and I think we forget sometimes that it's okay to take risks. So
Mhm.
of us are very risk or conservative or very low risk, that we don't want to try things, but actually we don't try things just because we don't understand it. But
Mhm.
if you empower yourself with education, then it's okay to take calculated, mitigated risks.
Yes. And all of this has really, you are not just telling this to us. I really believe you're an expert because you lived it. You have moved from your country, your home country, to come over here. Now, in your journey, you realize that there was a lot of trafficking, even nurses. A lot of nurses, we don't know about it or people don't talk about it enough. Can you tell us about what's going on with different nurses being trafficked into the United States?
Yeah, thanks, Casey. This is a topic that's very sensitive to a lot of people, and also it's an eye opener to me. I didn't know either that this has been happening, because there are practices that we consider in our own country that is observed practice. This is the things that has been going on for many years. But then we realize each country will have different laws when it comes to business practices. And when it comes to the United States, we realize a lot of people come here to the United States because of the very strict or very good human rights exercise or practice. And this is where a lot of human trafficking or labor trafficking comes in on immigrant employees or immigrant hires, because we thought it was normal where we came from. And when we come here, we bring in only to realize that this is not acceptable, and this is actually violating human rights. And the only way for me to learn about it is actually being able to talk to and verify, what's happening with the proper people, like lawyers, human rights lawyers, labor lawyers, and of course the government on it. I have no idea that those were actually trafficking signs, and it's a shame, shameful for me that as a mandatory reporter, I did not know the signs of trafficking. And this is actually a wake up call to a lot of our as nurses, nurse leaders, that as a mandatory reporter, we should really be aware and keen on what are the signs of it, and we should really act on it if we want to make a change on this culture of exploitation on nursing. I think this is where it's stemming from, is the the under discussed topic of labor trafficking, and I think we should really discuss it.
I believe so. And I just wanted to open up to the audience. If you have not heard about this or you have not heard about Kay's work, I definitely will recommend you to really connect with her and really learn the signs just so that you know what it looks like. But Kay, as someone who has immigrated to the United States, you have really done so many successful things. Can you tell me what is one mindset block or a few mindset blocks that really prevent people from becoming successful, especially after coming into a new country? They have the opportunities, but sometimes they don't flourish like they should. Could you tell me some of the mindsets that may block people from, or nurses, fellow nurses, from flourishing?
I think one thing that will block you is actually sometimes trust is actually good, but if you're trusting the wrong people, then it actually big roadblock, and it's a very big drawback, because like when I got here. I think I was well prepared from my college, which is, we invest in good school, we invest in good education, and yet when we arrive here, it wasn't the way that I was expecting it, like to succeed, and falling onto the wrong hands, thinking that it was still me that is not the right thing, only to realize that actually I just fell on the wrong hands. That's why I thought I was not able to do the things that I can. But if you go out into that and you make sure that you trust the right people, um, you will be succeeding, because you will find those people that really want you to succeed, will help you and will give you those opportunities.
And that leads right into my next question. Thank you for your answer. Sometimes we can feel as a victim, even if we haven't emigrated. Just as nurses, we tend to complain a lot because we feel like our voices are not usually heard by those who can make a decision and really act in our behalf. What do you have to say about what are some ways that you can offer that no nurse ever needs to feel like a victim?
Number one is really time, and when even if I don't know the answer, I think the skill that I developed as a traveling nurse is You don't need to know everything, but you just need to know where to find the right answer. And you have to make sure that it is the right answer that will act on your best interest, not at the best interest of anybody else. I think that's one thing that every nurse should equip themselves. Um, the curiosity out of it, and always ask your whys. Why is this happening? Don't be scared to ask, because there's a lot of people who will help you. If you will land on the right people, you are perfectly going to be fine. But if you land on the wrong people, just still listen to them, and you will learn a lot of things from both sides, the good ones and the not so good ones. And but you're better. And I always say, there's no bad advice. All of those advices will help you become better person.
Now, I love this. And we could, you and I could talk about financial literacy. Now, a lot of people say, oh, nurses, you need to be more financial literate. You need to help yourself, empower yourself. But what exactly do you think nurses need to learn so that they already have it in their hands, not like something they have to go outside to get? What do you think nurses already have within their means, within their environment, that they just need to become aware of? What would you say?
I would say, I think we're not excellent people in math, but do we have basic math? So that's good. That's a good start. And people who wants to like learn on finance really should start where they are. Like, how you budget your home, how you do budget, because you're technically the CFO of your own household. So I think everybody and every mother should understand they are the best CFO, because they will act on the best interests of their families and themselves. So that alone should make you realize that yes, you should be, you have the skills for it. And number two is, I would say, actually, this is number one, is the trust of the people to you. And I think if you look at the spectrum of the most trusted professional, it's the nurses. Just imagine if you're equipped yourself with great in financial knowledge, and people come to you to ask questions. I mean, you don't even have to market yourself, right? People will come to you. They will come to you. Nurses are number one trusted professional, and that's the best thing that you have already inherent of you. You don't need to train for that.
I really, really believe it. And I think it's I had here written down a question for you. What is one thing that you learned throughout your journey being a nurse that made life and nursing smoother for you? For me, I know it's financial literacy. What would you say is one thing that made life tremendously easier for you?
I think I will say it's being open minded and have a listening ear to everyone. Um, Having listening ear to everyone doesn't mean we're going to follow all the advice.
Mhm,
They just see what did they do, what do they do differently, what I do differently, and see why they do that. Always again ask for the why people doing things differently. Maybe he's advising something that maybe is only applicable to himself, but the other one is advising something different that may be applicable to herself. And then maybe look at the variables. Why are they advising that? Maybe this person is single. Maybe the other one has family. So each person will have different advices based on their own current situation.
mhm.
And what I say is always listen to all, but craft your own strategy on how you can apply it in your life.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Kay, if you had the power to make one change in healthcare, what would it be, and how do you think that will affect the system and the people it serves?
Oh, I wish the healthcare is run by and it's gonna be a very controversial answer. It will be run by people who really swore by oath of ethics. That's all.
Not business, not just business people, but people who are bound by
Yeah.
ethics.
Yes, correct. I think every executive of the hospital should have sworn by oath to go by ethics, and everybody should be licensed, because these are the lives of the people that they serve, and one mistake can cost everybody's jobs.
It's true. That's true. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. So, Kay, I have a question. As far as travel nursing, right? What do you think that most travel nurses struggle with the most?
I think the understanding the business side of travel nursing, that's where a lot of travelers kind of like lost it, because at the end of the day, staffing model is really a business model to serve the hospitals. And there's no such thing as I'm the boss, they're the boss. In travel nursing, each of us works together to achieve the common goal. If you can see the win-win situation of it, then you understand travel nursing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I wanted to take from, so I know you're travel nurse, but I want to go a little bit broader now into international nursing because I know you sit on some boards that affect international nurses, speak up for international nurses. What do you think? What do you see? What do you see in terms of nurses around the world in gaining an opportunity for nursing to be elevated as a practice?
What I see is right now, before, when we made a lot of advocacies in social media, we don't see really much, uplifting of the international nurses, um, on by locals or by big organization. There are some programs here and there, small but not that very impactful. I think now, after the advocacy that we've been seeing a big rise of local nurses here in America already, creating those guidelines for international nurses. There is a big mobilization of our nursing academia on educating what is a gold standard for ethical recruitment. So that one is something very big right now. It's a big difference from before and now, that we've seen that American nurses are really paying attention to this international recruitment. And the good thing about it is because the one who has the best interests are really the nursing community itself. If we don't protect our international nurses, then all of us will be impacted. Local leaders, local nurses, everybody will be impacted because they're part of us. So like we need to set the gold standard, because nurses should be protected. If you watch the Oscars, right? It's like Oscar and Golden Globe. I'm so sorry, I messed up. But they very strong word there: protect the nurses.
Yes, yes, you broke up a little bit, but I got protect our nurses. Now, as nurses, we've been siloed into so many different communities. What do you think will help to bring unity to the nursing profession, where we have one powerful voice?
I think understanding the common grounds of everyone. What do everybody wants to hear? What everybody wants to have in our nursing profession. No? Understanding a common grounds, and that's where we start. And what is it? Safe practice, safe environment, protect us, give us protection, workplace violence protection. So I think
Mhm.
starting with something that everybody agree that, hey, we really need this, we can be together, right? And then
Yes,
we can take a break. Let's eat food after that. We all get together if there's food in the table, right? Then
yes,
and then we go on the
yes,
next topic.
yes,
So
I
I think
agree.
baby steps is very important.
Mhm. Who do you think will start this where nurses now, let me just phrase this because by the time this video comes out, we would have gone through where, they're trying to make nursing not a profession anymore. And I know it sounds really bad. A lot of nurses are upset about it. And I always like to see a little gold or silver lining. I'm seeing nurses from all over come together and speak out against this. Do you think this could be a movement that actually brings unity to our profession?
I can see a big movement to that. I see a lot of unified voices leading to that, and it's a good sign that we can still be bonded together. It's a good sign that we can also thing, at least once. Next, it's another one. So it's a good voice to have, and the leadership that is moving forward all of these things that is going on right now about nursing being a profession. That's a good sign that our leaders can be in one page, because
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We tend to divide, and that diffuses our power. So this is beautiful. Now, Kay, as you do your work, I know you have a lot of different work. You even involved in business. within healthcare, outside of healthcare, what do you want your legacy as a nurse, as a mother, as a businesswoman, as a sister, a friend? What do you want your legacy to be? How would you like to be remembered?
Um, I personally don't like any spotlight. A lot of my friends like they know me like that. I
Right.
personally not. I would if you would remember me, I would say just to make sure that you protect all nurses, inclusive, international, and local,
Yeah.
because a lot of people pay attention that there's a big connection of international nurses and the impact it will do on local nursing. So I think that is something that I hope that will be remembered is bridging the gaps between the two talents.
Yes. And my last question to you, you have been an advocate for your people. Actually, you just started a community and it just blossomed, and you were just trying to help your people figure things out. And it has turned into this huge following. What would you say to your community, maybe Filipina nurses who are looking in on this interview and thinking maybe they could raise their family out of poverty, or they could go to the US or make some kind of change? What advice would you have to give them?
So America is a land of opportunity, like I always say to everyone, but it will not be put in the silver platter for you to be taken, right? So you will have to go for it. There's a lot of opportunities outside, and you just have to grab it. And the sky is the limit. Everybody says to me, I don't think that's possible. And then when you write down the numbers and we sit down and say, okay, I did not realize how much opportunity I have in my hand. I said, absolutely. All you just have to do is learn what are the opportunities out there, understand each one of them, give time. Because if you don't give time to learning all these opportunities at your hand, you're gonna be working all the way until the end of your life, and you will forget what real American dream is, and it's really having the the freedom to choose the life that you want for you and your family.
That's beautiful. Now, I know you don't like spotlight, but I know there's somebody that you help. Could you tell us of a story of someone who actually really took your advice and ran with it, and actually you're today they're winning? Does anybody come to
Yes,
mind?
a lot of travel nurses. I'm very happy to guide. I'm very honored to be able to see a lot of our travel nurses, move forward. I've told them, right now there's opportunity, but never take each day as for granted, because you
Mhm.
never know what will happen tomorrow. So I'm thankful that they listened. A lot of them, like, took what they need to do and advanced their education, and I'm happy to see them like having more free time for their family and their friends, and of course for their health. Because at the end of the day, if you don't prioritize yourself, then no one will prioritize it, and you're going to see yourself prioritizing it when you cannot help yourself anymore. So I'm happy to see a lot of them like being out of debt, and they're saying that, I'm very happy that we listen to you, and where we are right now we wouldn't be able to achieve it if without your help. Those are the things that fuel me to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yes, you do it so well, and you're so humble because you never want the spotlight, you never want any praise or anything like that. But I know you have helped so many people. You have helped me in just having a conversation with you, just sharing information that most people don't know and or will not speak about, will not share. You share it so freely and so generously. So, Kay, I really thank you for even coming on here and letting me pick your brain. I just wanted to say maybe some of our listeners are listening in, and maybe they're thinking about going into travel nursing, or they would like to connect with you further. What's the best way for them to further connect with you if they want to further continue ask you questions or have a conversation?
Yeah, so you can connect me. I'm mostly active on Facebook because that's where the majority of the frontline nurses are.
Yeah.
Um, I was active in LinkedIn before, but I'm still learning how to use it. I'm not an office person, so as you can see, I'm outdoors, so I'm not the person who would open the email every day. So, but the Facebook Messenger is where majority of the feeds come in for questions. You hollow at me between 9 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. That'll be my awake hours. After hours, I try to prioritize myself for the next coming holidays. So, family time for me.
Lovely, lovely. Well, this has been wonderful. I am grateful that I had this opportunity. I'm so glad to know you. And I asked her all my questions, audience. Do you have some questions for her? I will put her links in the comments below, and you could feel free to reach out to her on Facebook. Thank you so much, Kay. Thank you, audience. And we'll see you next time on Meet the Experts.